Good evening, it is me, Miss Javina Star, and I'm back with another vlog. And today I just want to give my review on Scattered Minds podcast, which was on Titans TV. I happen to have been featured on the show last night. The debate was, do Arabs belong in Africa? And it was a very interesting debate, very progressive. I'm glad that Scatter's mind. He has said that he wanted to do a debate for a while, and he finally did. Unfortunately, he couldn't do it on his channel, which is Scatter's Mind, but happened to do it at someone else's. It was Titans TV's channel, but it was a really, really good debate. So, big congratulations to him for providing such an important topic, providing a forum to talk about Africa because that's very much needed. And it was such an interesting show. There were so many people like listening to it. There were all these non-African people listening to the conversations, going crazy on the chat room, and it's like, wow, it just reminded me that anything progressive that we talk about as black people, you know, they're on it, they're listening, and they're like, oh my God, they're not cussing each other or acting stupid. They're actually doing something progressive and normal for their continent, so it really aroused a lot of haters. So, good on Scattered Minds and the rest of them boys, who decided to come together, and Callum, yeah, to talk about it. It's great. It's much needed. And yeah, just it was amazing. The chat was moving fast. We even got the our brothers and sisters in America, the African American diaspora getting involved and literally funding and giving money to Scattered Minds podcast. And I think that's great because that's something that they want. They want us talking about progressive things that are going to benefit our future as black diasporans around the world. And it was just so good. And I spoke to Betty. She enjoyed the debate. She enjoyed getting involved. And it's just nice for people to have our heard, because it's been lacking. Whenever there's a discussion about Africa, it's always an aid worker, a middle class white aid worker who happens to represent Africa and talk about it, and usually disgracing the people that live in Africa, how poor they are and how stupid they are, and how, you know, yeah, so they're always there sticking their noses in every single issue that involves Africa. It's very rare that, normal black people of African descent ever talk about Africa, which is so strange, and obviously we all know that the African leaders have their mouth taped because they've got all these organizations and Western nations like warning them that if they go off the script, then something will happen to them. So, if the leaders can't rally up the diaspora, then what hope was there? And now obviously things are changing, and I think that's a good thing. And this debate, which was very much needed as black people of diaspora from around the world, coming together to discuss about something progressive that will benefit us. And we need to talk, we need to be able to discuss things with each other, because we now have an understanding that we all come from Africa, we are of black origin, and we are treated like ends in the Western world, basically. So yeah, that is our similarity with all the black people from the east of the Africa, from west of Africa, from the north. So we have that similarity. And when everyone's like, oh, but who's it? But I'm an African. Like suddenly the whole world wants to be an African now, and it's like, no, because you didn't really associate yourself with Africa when it wasn't cool. You chose to be European, and you disassociate yourself with the continent, quite rightly, because you're not from the continent. But all of a sudden now, when black people want to unite and talk about going back to Africa, you want to be like, oh, but I'm African. what is African? And it's like, no, no, don't try that, because you've treated us like Africans. So Africa is obviously us diasporic people from who's hail from the continent that have highly melanated skin, you know, and that, you know, accept that they are African. So this debate was very much needed, and I want to see more debates like that from the Black British YouTube community. It's very much needed. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that, really, how, you know, we as Black people in the UK and the diaspora regions can come together and have civilized discussions that doesn't involve cussing each other and doesn't involve um, insulting one another, and giving each other space to speak, and whatever gossip that we've been hearing for the past 3 decades, we can clear it, and we can, you know, dispel the myths that have been put on our community, and dispel the disgusting stereotypes that each African nation and the continent has had on them, for, you know, very disgusting stereotypes that have been put on us and the whole world believes, you know. Now we're dismantling it bit by bit with our African unity. So I honestly want to see more of those kind of debates. It was positive, you know, it got people thinking, and yeah, it got people talking, and it got young people to have pride in themselves of people of African heritage. Now I'm going to go into this person that tried to come in and dominate the conversation and change it to his own agenda. Yeah, hold on. I'm just having some green tea. So basically, yeah, there was a Persian guy, Iranian guy that was on there, and first of all, his voice was so boring, and I felt like he liked the sound of his voice, and he just kept going on and on. And on the chat, you should have seen him. He is, oh my God, he kept asking Scattered Minds and Callum, can I go next? Can I go next? I had to say, no, please don't put him on next. He's so boring. He was making the listeners bored. They were writing comments saying how yawn, yawn, yawn every time he came on. And it's just so annoying. Like, you know, he just liked the sound of his voice, and he tried dominating it and making it about the Arab League and how can the Arabs unite like you Africans unite. Like, excuse me, that's not our problem. That's another topic that you can have a discussion with your friends on your own channel. There was no need for him to be there dominating and changing the narrative of the discussion. Yeah, this I forgot his name. Yeah, he's a Persian guy, but he had a cartoon avatar of a Arab-looking guys, and to dominate the conversation, and was annoying and kept saying, "I'm next. Can I speak next? Can I speak?" No, like, you need to give other people a chance to speak. You know, it's not like we Black people of the African diaspora ever had a chance to speak about Africa, because there's so many people who are, you know, charity workers that speak on behalf of African people. There's always a white expert in African studies. There's never ever a Black person speaking about Africa, or even the diaspora of Africa, such as the Caribbean and native, was it the African Americans? They never discussed about Africa when that is their primary continent. That is where they originated from. But no, you always see other nations talking about Africa, which is so annoying. And yeah, so this needs to change, and I like seeing our African American brothers and sisters wake up to that and getting involved in more geopolitical discussions about their motherland. And today I watched a really interesting video from Dr. Mumbi Saraki, the actual the Nigerian, I think she must be Nigerian, yeah, the Nigerian spokesperson for the AU, the African Union. She went to, so she's the spokesperson for the African Americans in America, and she did the most amazing speech today. You have to Google it. This amazing lady with her glasses, with the gold rimmed glasses, so she's the spokesperson for the AU America. She did a good speech, and Idris Elba was there. I mean, he was there. He put on his daishiki. Can I just say, the daishiki really suited him. It really suited him. He had it on. There was all these other African American speakers there, and she was talking about how we African people in the diaspora, the African diaspora, which is African American, carry Caribbean, the only nations from around the world that do not have an anchor, basically, their anchor being, their original homeland. All these other people that live in America, such as the Chinese Americans, the Indian Americans, they have their anchor back at their motherland, and they always refer to it. But the African Americans and the South Americans and the West Indies, they are the only people on the whole planet that do not have access to their anchor. Even the Americans, they always refer to Europe as their homeland, and that's their anchor. And she was discussing it and saying how, Africa needs our diaspora brothers and sisters from America and the Caribbean and South America. Like, we need them more because they are our people. Africa is their homeland, and they need to rebuild it. So it was a really interesting discussion from her. If you can watch it on the Dr. Mumbi Saraki show, I can put a link on it underneath. But it was so interesting, and she made total sense. Like, she spoke from her heart, and she said, Africa needs you. Without the diaspora, it will not prosper. And she clearly said, why is it that they always have something bad to say about Africa and Africans, but yet they're still going to Africa? If it's so bad, why are all these non-Africans going to Africa? Obviously, that's their plan, so that we in the diaspora don't go to Africa and invest in it. So they will continue the whole self-hate thing, so that we don't go to Africa and develop it, and you live like kings and queens that we actually are. So it was a really interesting chat about that, an interesting debate online that I saw on the Dr. Mumbi Saraki show. So that's my view on the Scattered Minds debate yesterday on Titan's channel. Do check it out and see what you think of it. I also would like to talk about, finally, the video of me, Betty, and another girl called Yvette that was Speaker's Corner about 2 weeks ago. It got uploaded on the COV, so Contact Over Everything channel. And there we are in the sun. It was such a beautiful sunny day, and we were just having a debate, and it's quite funny, like the whole, what's his name? Is it Rajiv? Yeah, he was there, and she was defending porn and stuff like that. So it was an interesting debate, and it's nice to see it in camera after all these weeks. But yeah, Speaker's Corner is just full of men, and I did do a review about it and how it's just dominated by males, and there needs to be more girls, and girls need to speak up and be more affirmative, is it they just basically need to stand up for themselves if they're going to survive in Speaker's Corner, because that place, like, there's a lot of talking over and maleness going on. So it was really interesting to watch, actually. And to see my hair shining in the sun, and we look good. Definitely, I think we should then go as a big, massive girl group and have some debates, some official, cool debates. So I am Miss Jarina Star. I've been back with another quick, short vlog. I will be back again, and can I just say, do look out in the sky. The stars are very shiny, and the planets are very visible. I can see Saturn. I can see the other one, Mars, the red planet. You can see the red color. It's a really great time to stargaze out right now because the sky is so clear. I definitely recommend that you look out in the sky and stargaze, because I have been lucky enough to see a shooting star the other day. I was really, really impressed that it just appeared out of the sky, and I was like, wow, I just saw a shooting star. And I'm not even lying, because the other day I also saw it looked like a spaceship. Honestly, it looked like a star, and it literally was moving up in the sky. And I looked up and saw, oh my God, like, I'm seeing all these things. Like, I saw my flag up in the sky. I'm starting to convince myself, maybe, like, am I a prophet or prophetess, a prophet or something? I mean, like, why am I seeing all these things? Like, maybe I'm here to tell a story. Maybe I'm here to lead the people. Who knows? But during the end times, that they do say that there's a lot of prophets and prophetesses, coming out, and yeah, I'm seeing all these things, and it's a great time, and just Saturn looks amazing. You can see the color, and I'm seeing like angel shapes up in the sky in the cloud. I'm like, wow. I'm seeing all these things, and I'm really happy, obviously, that I've been picked to see these special things. And people really need to pay attention and see what's around us, because I feel like there's a change in the air. It's amazing. It's almost like it's our time, the doom and gloom, that horrible dark cloud has been lifted, and things are definitely looking up and more promising. And I definitely see a change in the environment. And can I just say, it's a lot better for people like me, and people who are different. I think good things are gonna come out of it. Definitely there will be good things coming out very soon. So I'm just gonna drink my green tea now, just bear with me. So yeah, I'm seeing all these like mad colors up in the sky, like purple sunlight, red, pink sunset. It looks mad beautiful. Basically, it looks really cool. So yeah, great time to look out in the sky and look at the planets, because they are literally very visible, and spotting apparently there's going to be lots more shooting stars. They're called meteorites, the actual scientific term. But throughout the whole month of October, we're going to be getting lots of them. And after I saw my amazing shooting star the other day, I was in awe, because it literally lit up the sky. It looks like a rocket. No, it looks like a firework. Fireworks? Yeah, but it looks like a bigger fireworks. And what made it funny is, shooting stars, like you see pictures of it on cartoons, and like all children's, like clothes and stuff. You have like a shooting star and a unicorn and stuff. It actually looks like a proper real shooting star. It's got like this big star, and it's got the whoosh thing on the side that sparkles, and it's like, wow, it actually looks like a shooting star, and it just lit up the sky like a firework, and it's so beautiful. So definitely in October we're going to see a lot more shooting stars. So I recommend people to go out at night, just right after sunset, and as soon as it gets dark, because then you can see, if it's not too dark, then you can see the stars and all the planets, and you'll have this amazing vision of this shooting star that will just appear out of nowhere and then just dash down the sky. So yeah, I definitely think that October is a great time to go stargazing. I'm going to be down at my local constellation place, which we're going to be quite high up, and I'm going to be observing things. I'm going to be observing the sky to see if I get to see lots more shooting stars, because there's supposed to be quite a few, like at the same time. So I'm gonna go put my Yanni on. Where's Yanni? The man with the piano. I like him because it's very what's the word? Dramatic. And yes, because of the dramatic turning point of what's happening in the world, Yanni's music would be very fit for what's happening, whole constellation and solar system activity that's going on, and with the change in what's happening in the world. And yeah, Yanni's music reflects that, basically. I just wish you would stop talking. Just play the music. Go on, play the music. Get on your keyboard. So if anyone wants to know what is how you spell his name, it's Ynni. Yanni. Oh, this is it's the flute man. I like this one. The rain must fall. Yes, the rain must fall. Fall. So you know, rain is very important for the crops to grow. This is his song. It's called. It's all the people clapping for him because they feel truly touched by his music. So this one is called "The Rain Must Fall." Anyways, as I was saying, just recapping on what I have said earlier on about the great debate that was on Scattered Minds podcast channel. And it was really good to get different views from normal, everyday Black British people from all communities discuss something serious such as Africa, which is why we should be discussing it because we are of African origin. It's just nice to have people to debate about our continent that are not charity workers, that are not politicians from Western nations, and that are not these fake sellout dictators' children's and government workers from Africa. So it's nice to have just everyday discussion from people in the diaspora, and it's very much needed because what happens there is very much connected to us as African people. So yeah, I think it's time we get our foot in the continent. And like that lady said, that was on the Dr. Mumbi Saraki show earlier on today, Africa is our anchor, and we, the Black people of the diaspora, are the only nation, the only people from the world who do not have access to Africa and who are cut off from our anchor. Well, who are cut off from the anchor and are just, how can I say, almost floating around the ocean with no direction because there's no anchor to tie us back. And every other nation has an anchor, like the Chinese Americans. They trace their lineage, boy. Doesn't matter how many years you've been abroad, they trace their lineage. Honestly, like even the Armenians, this Kardashian people, yeah, they know who they are. They've lived in Ethiopia, all over the world. Greece, when the Turks literally made them homeless and kicked them out of Turkey, they lived all over the world, but they've always maintained who they are and where they come from, and had that very strong lineage because of that's they have a anchor now. They've got their homeland now, and they all have that anchor. And I just feel like a lot of our diaspora, because it's not their fault. Because of slavery, they lost their connection with the motherland, Africa. And it's a great thing that this woman from the AU, the ambassador for America, went and literally tried to rally the African Americans. And I've seen online how African Americans feel that we Africans don't want them, and that's really sad. Of course we want them. Africa's their continent. They are ethnically African. And all these lies about how Africans are, the African Americans are mixed race. Do they not even understand basic DNA? Okay, they are more African than the North Africans of Africa. Come on now. The African Americans, just because of that one male slave owner from like the 1800s, that doesn't make them mixed raced. They've literally got one male slave owner DNA in their background, and they've been mixing with each other. That makes them fully African. Like, people don't have any like common sense when it comes to DNA about, oh, we're all mixed. Because on the debate yesterday, there was all these random white people saying we're all mixed. It's like, shut up. Don't even know, like, if we're all mixed, then why do you treat them like that? Why do you treat the African Americans like that in their nation if we're all mixed? They're not mixed. They're very, very black, and it's obvious, it's very visible, and they're being treated like black. So, this whole, oh, but the white slave master has made them mixed. No, that's literally, disappeared after how many generations it's gone. They're fully African, and their anchor is in Africa. And when they do a DNA test, they get the exact location where it is they're from, and it's all over Nigeria. It's all over, what's the other country? Congo. It's all over Angola. It's all over Benin, Ivory Coast, that region. So yeah, even East Africa, South Africa. So like, they're very much connected. They are African, and obviously they've lived many generations in America, but they should, they know what they are, but now they need to actually get involved more in what's happening in Africa and have a say. Shouldn't just leave it to foreigners to go there and pillage our continent. These random foreigners that do not like black people but like our resources. So yeah, so I honestly believe that she did a really good thing by having that speech, and now it's trending. Or Idris Elba was there with his daishiki, and everybody was clapping at her, and she did a really good job. What the AU really needed to upgrade themselves, and try and encourage more young people to join in, and create a proper nationalistic African Union, AU that will better the continent. And now they're finally getting there by trying to encourage more African Americans and the Caribbeans to get involved in Africa and have a say. Like, you could just do little things like, whenever there's a discussion about a certain African country, blog about it. Why don't you just blog about it? Like, oh my God, can you believe this happened? Just because you don't, are not, you don't have any family in a certain African country doesn't mean you can't talk about it. Like, just vlog about it. That just shows that you're giving your African American opinion about what's happening in Africa. Doesn't matter which country. It doesn't have to be one particular. It doesn't have to be Nigeria. It can just be about any black African country in Africa. Just vlog about it. Do a video about it. That's showing support for the continent because you're giving your view. So if more people did that, even the Black British community here, then everybody else would be like, hold on a minute, these people do know where they come from, and then they'll get worried because right now we don't do that. We don't talk about what happens on the continent, and that's why everybody takes advantage. It's like, hey, Africa's for we can just grab our hands and just we can go in and pillage. Hello, free fall, because they don't want it. And that's exactly what that ambassador lady said in the vlog today. The fact that if you're not coming to save Africa, and it's not even safe to invest and like put roots there because Africa has a lot of potential, and the others are, and it wouldn't survive. This whole African Union wouldn't survive without the African diaspora. And I just think we need to be careful with our words, not to disencourage our African American brothers and sisters and our Caribbean brothers and sisters from uniting and having a view in Africa and trying to build Africa and make it a better Africa for all African diasporans. So I am Miss Jarena Shooting Star, and I've been back with another vlog, and I'll be back again. Bye.